Greetings and welcome to this final episode of this MelVee Marriage Seminar, Broken but Blessed. I hope you have followed us and you have been blessed by these messages. And please do leave your questions or comments at the bottom. And we've been very blessed to have the author all the way from Edmonton, Canada, through Kenya, Eunice, who's blessed us with powerful messages on how to overcome brokenness in your marriage. I always believe your story is the best to showcase the power of God. And to wrap up this seminar, I also wanted to bring all our guests into the set so that we can have a free chat as you join us online and also as you watch and you leave your comments below. We really want to wrap up this seminar on broken but blessed, with really looking at the pillars and the fundamental issues that we should take home with. What are the foundations of these institutions? What are some of the challenges that you would face in it? How does the devil attack you in this institution? And how do you defend yourself and be able to still remain happily married after? Both in the best and the worst of days. And to help me wrap up this show, I've got three panelists. Greetings and welcome to everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe let's start from here. You need no introduction, but maybe for new viewers out there, just tell us who you are and let us know you.
Thank you. My name is Eunice Kemunto. I'm the author of Broken but Blessed, the book that we are discussing during this marriage seminar. And I'm glad that you've joined us.
Great, thank you so much. It's been a privilege. I am surprised this has gone so quickly.
Yes.
I wish we had more time. Thank you so much. And yes.
Afternoon, viewers. My name is Nyari Moyo, happily married to my holy husband.
Yes.
For Jesus and myself.
All right. I love those. Great stuff. Thank you so much and welcome to the show. And yes, sir.
Greetings, viewers. My name is Pastor Brian Moyo. I'm currently serving with other pastors at Harare City Center Church.
Great.
And well, of course, I don't know, since I'm the holy hunk, I wouldn't know what to say.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
Wonderful. So you've come, you've participated, you've watched, you've listened, you've heard, and we really want to land this seminar on this chat. And really, it's a free chat. We want to talk about a few very key issues. And for those who have not had a chance, please do get in touch with us or go online. I think the links to where the book is are available online. Just look at the links down there and you'll be able to check it out. But we have copies for you. If you'd like a copy, please do get in touch with us at MelVee Video Productions. She has outlined powerful stuff in this book.
Definitely.
And maybe before we get into the book itself and we hear a little bit more, Mfundis, we are talking about marriage.
Yes, sir.
Where did this thing called marriage come from? Because it gives many of us a headache. Tell us about the foundations. You're the pastor. Give us the theology around it. Where did it all come from?
You see, God is an organized man.
All right?
When he intends to put up something that should exist for eternal ages, he sets it up at the foundation of the earth.
All right.
That when he had created everything, or by the way, I usually say God had to set up the stage for the existence of mankind, or rather he had to set up the stage for the existence of a family.
All right.
Before putting it up on the sixth day in creation. So when he then had to create man, we discover that God had in his mind the thought of creating mankind as he began creating on the first day of the week. So by the time we get to the sixth day, he is culminating his creation and putting man as the people who will oversee everything. And it's very interesting to discover that as he is putting them and giving them authority and dominion over everything else, that dominion ought to be pronounced in the existence not just of a man, neither of a woman, but in the existence of a family.
Wow.
Where it all begins.
So the husband and the wife have dominion.
Have dominion over these things now that God has set up and put over them. So I've always, when I look at marriage, maybe just in brief, I've always wanted to rush back to the book of Genesis, where it all begins. And the creation story narrates it all. But the text that concludes it all for me is Genesis chapter 2 and the verses 24. If you may allow me to read it through.
Please do.
And it says, that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his family, and they become one flesh. Someone might be thinking, what is this meant to say?
Yeah.
But if you look at this MelVee, you would discover that in this text is embedded the covenant of marriage.
Wow.
Which actually is put possibly in 3 parts. And those 3 parts, interestingly enough, are the ones that are giving us problems today and are bringing about the brokenness. So take note of these as possibly as you lead us in the discussion. You might link them up well. The first part of the covenant is there is an element of living. Parents, the in-laws and outlaws, you will get there. But the covenant has the element of living. And when you have left, the second part of the covenant has an element of being united. That is clinging. That there is some element of affection and faithful commitment to a permanent relationship. I re-emphasize the term permanent. That is not temporal. It's not subject to weather or climate change.
I always say it's not a contract in terms and conditions. It's actually a covenant.
It's a covenant, which is permanent. Whether good or bad, and things like I don't know whether people really understand when they vow and say for better or for worse. Whether really people understand what they mean. If many people knew what they were saying, they would not say that.
Maybe they would just end up by saying, I vow to the better.
Yes. and leave the worse. Okay. And the last part of the covenant is becoming one flesh. Becoming one flesh, that is in physical union, which possibly not the deepest, and listen to this one, most exclusive intimacy. This is not an inclusive job. Seriously exclusive. And I think on this foundation, we will discover why the devil is trying to attack the marriage, because God knew and understood that he had he had put a family into existence so it could continue to direct in bringing about generations, but the generation would still get the leadership from the man who had received the instructions from God. And by the way, just in conclusion, that when God created women, they were not an afterthought. In the head of God. He knew why he had to put it that way. The element of headship still comes into play. But when he also puts a lady and the term comes about and he says he made a helper meet for him, that's not an oath of inferiority when he puts up the term that the woman has to become a helper to the man. But rather it's the term that brings about the worth of the woman. That it is not possible for a man to continue to exist in totality without the helpmeet that is coming from the woman. I think in a nutshell, that's where marriage comes from and its importance from the book of Genesis.
I like the 3 some parts you've highlighted, and I think the third one is a powerful one, because you live so you can cleave. So that at the end of the day you become one. And I like the most exclusive. When Paul writes, he says the hidden things of the Godhead, are seen in that which is created, so that we have no excuse. And so when you see the creation that God put between the husband and the wife, or the man and the woman, and they put them together, and the unity of accord they should have, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, whether it's social, whether it's whichever way you look at it, even anatomically, we are created to be complementary. Perhaps on another day we'll talk about sexual reproductive health. But you do mention the most exclusive, that the union between the husband and the wife is an example of Christ and the church. That's what Paul says. Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved. When you compare the love that you're supposed to give, you and I are supposed to give to our wives, Paul says it's like the love of Christ to the church. It's unfailing. It's eternal. All right? And so this is a beautiful overview. Now, the other section I loved, as I was thinking about this seminar and as we were wrapping it up, this world is now plagued with divorce. Eunice, you went through a terrible time. I want you to walk us through that. Because Jesus, when he was asked by the Pharisees, Moses said we must put away our wives when we write them a letter. The sermon I remember that the late Pastor Michael Chikogora always preached was, before you even talk about divorce, listen to the first words of Jesus. He says, in the beginning, it was not so. That statement by itself tells you God hates divorce.
Yes.
And I'm yet to find a verse which says, God now says, I like it.
Yes.
Because even with infidelity in the marriage, you still have a room to forgive each other
Yes.
and still continue with the covenant.
Yes.
But walk us through your experiences, Eunice, as you...
Maybe
you wanna
before
come in?
she comes in, I think God, from the point where he created mankind,
Yeah.
and after they had sinned,
Yeah.
by the way, the act between Adam and Eve cost God a lot of things.
Yes.
But even at that point, he did not allow them to divorce.
Yeah, yeah,
When they were cast off the garden,
yeah. They walked together.
they walked together.
Yeah.
I mean, we are living in a chaotic world today,
Yeah.
and all that can be traced back and given to Adam and Eve in other terms. But still, God says, you know what? Even in the mess that you have put us in, my son is yet to die for this.
Yeah.
But you too,
Stay
because
together.
you need
Yeah.
to stay together. You
Yeah.
cannot be separated.
Yeah. So in this seminar, we know you have a right to divorce your wife. We
Yeah.
know he or she, whether the husband has wronged you. But we're saying on this seminar, there's room for you to be blessed again
Yes.
in that union and to build again. And this is what Eunice is going to share with us. You were broken.
Yes.
The devil took you to the gutters.
Yes.
To the guttermost, as they say.
Oh, yes.
But God brought you back. Tell us a little bit about your experience. What are some of the key challenges you went through that brought you to a broken state?
Okay. Divorce is a horrible thing. It is horrible. And nobody wins. The husband does not win. The wife does not win. The children suffer the most.
Yeah.
So it's a terrible experience. One person said that if you've been married for 2 years, when you divorce, it takes as much time to
Wow.
recover. If you were married for 6 years and you divorced, it takes you 6 years to recover from it.
So if I'm married for 20 years, it will take me 20 years
20
to
years.
recover.
And let me
That's all right.
suggest here today that you never recover.
Wow.
You never recover. They say that you can, but you never do. I never recovered. Just to see my child growing up in brokenness,
Yeah.
and just taking the child from this house to the next. It's a lot of pain and struggle. I live in Canada where divorce is embraced. Most people take it like an easy thing to do,
Yeah.
and some people just think superficially that my life will go on. I'll just divorce. I'll get child support. I'll put this man on child support. I'll be getting enough money from him to sustain myself, and I'll move on. I'll find somebody else, or I'll just be in a free world to live as I please. That's just lip service. When you look at their life deep within, how they live, you see a lot of pain and brokenness from that divorce situation. So I'd just like to emphasize that, like you said, from the beginning, it was not so.
Yeah.
God did not create us, did not create divorce. He hates divorce.
Yeah.
He says in the Bible that it's because of your hard
Hard-heartedness
heart,
or your stiff-necked.
Yeah.
that he just allowed it to happen. It's like he threw it at
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
but he never intended that it happens. He created marriage to be a permanent institution, like
Yes.
Pastor had said, and so it needs to be so. It needs to be a permanent
Yeah.
institution. I think that there's two things that would lead to brokenness in marriages from my own experience. The first thing is when we are spiritually lazy as couples.
Okay.
When you're spiritually lazy and you don't bring your marriage to the altar every day, either individually or as a couple, you allow the devil to come in. John 10:10 says that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we don't become spiritually alert to seek the Lord in prayer and in reading the word and in having family worship with the children, we give room
Yeah.
for the devil to attack
Yeah.
in his craftiness.
Wow.
He can bring something
Yes.
to just bring conflict in the family and bring
Yeah.
about a breakdown.
Yeah.
So it's very
And
important.
as you're talking now, I'm thinking, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yes.
Thieves steal and you don't realize they're stealing. And there's a lot of stealing that's happening in marriage. And the wise man says a stolen cook is sweeter than the one you have. There's a lot of cheating and unfaithfulness. And people think that they can go out there be promiscuous. No one has seen them, yet heaven is watching. Heaven knows. Your record is very clear. And what goes around will always comes around. So there's a lot of stealing that's happening, and people are being unfaithful. And one of the biggest cases of our day is infidelity. Because, like you mentioned, it's an exclusive union. Fully exclusive. And so when you then bring in a third party, you've broken the exclusivity. And the purity of the marriage is broken. And there's a lot of marriages today that are happening, but people are broken. Because there's unfaithfulness. There's a third party that comes in to defile the marriage. And it happens, and you live in a marriage, you know nothing about it. Until perhaps, unfortunately for some, they go to the grave not having confessed their sins. I wonder what's going to happen when Christ comes. But blessed are those who confess and they forsake, because the devil steals while you're not even watching. And he destroys while you think he's not even there. And I read in one of the texts that says, it was when David was strong, when he was overcoming, when he was anointed, when he was rushing all around to win battles everywhere, that the Amalekites came and stole and destroyed Ziklag and took away his family and his children. When he came back, he was so broken. All of his men wanted to kill him. So while you are conquering, it could be in your career, it could be in your ministry, it could be in any other area of leadership or development. You're doing so well, but are you doing so well at home? I guess that's the message.
Yes.
Sorry to jump in there.
Yes, you basically covered what I was about to say. It's when you're distracted with other things of life that the devil has that room to kill, steal, and destroy your marriage.
Absolutely.
So fight him by being spiritually alert all the time.
We're going to get into the how to fight. I know you've shared with us in one of your talks 5 key areas, and I think you cover it very well in the book. But let me bring you in here, Nyari. The devil attacks marriages. So let's tell us some of the ways from your experience that he attacks marriages.
Well, I wanted to comment on the infidelity part.
Yes.
That, people think that you only be unfaithful when you're married, but it starts before you get married.
All right.
That the habit of having 3 girlfriends, the habit of having 4 guys, young girls will say minister of transport, minister of finance, minister of security. Those habits come into your marriage. That when he comes, because he's a fallen human being and he's lacking in other ways, because you've always had that habit when you're still a single person, that you can always bring in different people in your life that will still carry on. So for you to be a faithful spouse when you're married, you need to be a faithful young person or a faithful single person, because those habits will brood themselves and start manifesting the things that you might thought you would overcome.
You see, as you're talking now, Nyara, I'm thinking of the parable of the sower. The guy who went and planted his good corn, all right, wheat, and the Bible says they went to sleep. And while they were sleeping, that's the distraction, not being alert. The enemy came and planted, all right, the weeds or the tares. And when they woke up in the morning, they discovered their tares. So often it happens when you think, it's fine. I'm not yet ready to be married. You're on yourself, you're alone, no one is watching, the habits are planted. And you think you'll overcome them tomorrow, but actually they'll stick hard with you. And some of these things happen so intuitively. You want to come in there and find what are some of the attacks you are discovering from your ministry as you counsel and help people that you find that they are struggling with?
The whether it's the 21st century era that has polluted homes or what you would not know. But like she has said, people have had habits in their previous lives because always people want to separate how they live. Young people have a life that they want to live while they are still young. But as soon as they jump into marriage, there are a lot of changes that they do not discover or when they are still not yet married, that they begin to see once they are in the marriage now. And when they are in the marriage, this is where you begin to discover the things that she was mentioning. That you will see that, no, in actual fact, what you thought you would drop out when you are now walking the path of marriage, you may not actually drop those things. You might actually develop them and do them better. becoming a professional sinner in that particular area. Unfortunately, the world in itself has created a conducive environment for breaking marriages. The world has become, whether it's a furnace for the melting of marriages.
Wow.
That each and every marriage that just, as soon as it's registered in the courts of this earth and in the books of the heavens, the devil has a lot of agencies worldwide that are there ready to help people break the marriages that God has given them. And that's a very big challenge.
I call these spiritual pimps.
All
right? or satanic, satanic agencies, spiritual pimps and circumcised of heart. And some of these, unfortunately, are people who are believers, people who know God, who cannot just keep the purity of the marriage, like you mentioned. God meant it to be exclusive. And what three things I think I have noted in my own personal experience, and then you touched some of them, that really are affecting marriage is communication. It's amazing that of all animals that have communications, we are the only ones with vocalizations that create a language. And yet we struggle so much to understand each other. Whether it's on the verbal or social, emotional or whatever, we struggle to understand each other, and that causes a lot of problems in the homes. And I'm hoping that you'll talk to us in some way, how do we overcome some of these challenges, and I would like us to focus on those. So communication is a big problem. Money, something that doesn't talk, destroys a marriage, right? And again, when you look at we are social beings. Our relationships are meant to build us and make us comfortable, safe, and secure. But unfortunately, some of the in-laws and outlaws, you know, those friends of yours, those college colleagues, those neighborhood guys from your streets, from your community, from your rural area, you name it, they become stumbling blocks to purity in marriage. And of course, if you put in those three, and knowing that we're not living as Africans, where Africans have begun in the last 50 years in the past, we've seen, besides slavery, which took a lot of Africans out, we have seen African families emigrating from the motherland to Australia, you are in Canada, to UK, and I've seen that migration is a big risk factor for marriages. People move from one country to another and suddenly they're divorced. Or one partner goes to the other country and suddenly is no longer coming back. The other one remains in the country, and in the end that marriage just gets destroyed. I mean, we could list these problems and get to 101. But what I want us to wrap our show on is how do we overcome some of these big challenges? Someone might be sitting out there and wondering, they're talking about the issues I'm going through. Do we perhaps have any practical solutions of how, maybe I'll start with you, Eunice, how do we begin to sort out some of these problems out of the way and still survive? And for our viewers, if you've not watched, please go back and watch another clip that Eunice did, and you covered the 5 key elements in detail. But maybe just briefly, practical solutions that you would want to give our viewers out there on how to be cushioned and protected and to deal with some of these challenges.
Okay. The first thing I'd like to say is regarding that point you just touched on, in-laws and outlaws, third-party influences, I would call it. This is a big risk factor to successful marriages. When we don't put our partners first above everybody else, we are headed to the gutters for our marriage. Because like Pastor read from the Bible says that the two people cleave to one another and they become one. So your husband or your wife is like you. It's like your own flesh. So when you talk badly about her or him outside there, what are you doing to yourself? You're doing it to yourself, right? When you involve your parents or siblings to, you know, talking badly about your spouse to them or trying to solve certain problems that you have in the marriage by using them, you are shooting down your marriage. So really, it is key that the two people, the husband and wife, sort their own problems together, the two of them, without involving outside influences. For
you
that.
mentioned prayer before, the power of prayer. It changes everything. prayer, and this I'm thinking, Fundis, you should walk us through the power of prayer when you get into a dead end. What can prayer do for a marriage that's on the rocks?
You know what? I'll take it back to the Bible.
Yes.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13.
Yeah.
If I may just quickly read that one. You're saying it's a marriage that has gone to
the rocks,
and you know it's possibly reaching
it's
a
broken.
dead end.
Yeah.
It's a broken marriage.
Yes.
So
it's dry bones. Is
yeah.
there any hope?
And the possibility is by the time you get to the brokenness of the marriage, the assumption always is that God does not know about it.
All right.
But I want to read something. It's a common text,
Yeah.
but I don't know if people have put this explanation to it. And it says here, there is no temptation
All right.
taken you, but such as is common to men.
All right.
That's the first part. But listen to this one. But God is faithful,
Amen.
who will not suffer you to be tempted above that which you are able. So as the marriage is drawn to the rocks, what the Bible is saying, God knows at the back of his mind.
Yeah.
So when it happened, 6 years back, what was in the back of the mind of God was, Eunice has ability of dealing with this.
And give us
something good, you know. He has ability to deal with this.
Yeah.
But here is where the challenge is.
Yeah.
People miss the last part of the text. And it says, but it says God will not allow any temptation bigger than what we are able to handle.
Yes.
But now, but is a very strong negative statement, negating all the things that have been said or something like that.
Yeah.
So as the temptation comes, we are not worried about that.
Yeah.
But what we are more concerned about is what is coming after the but now.
Yeah.
And it's saying, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it.
to bear it.
So as the brokenness was intensifying, God was intensifying the way out, the escape route, the solution to the problem. So in the 6 years of the brokenness, my thought is, according to the scriptures, the solution was already there, and God had it. So whenever marriages get to that trying moment, couples should be reminded that walking out of the marriage is not the solution, but the solution is looking at the problem and requesting for a solution from the problem.
Yes.
Because as the problem comes, it comes with the solution, according to the scripture.
All right.
So scripturally, temptations are twinned with the solution.
All right. Don't look any further.
Yeah, you can't look any further.
The problem is
The solution is with the problem.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, no, you know what? Well, what we are facing, whether it is the outlaws and in-laws that are bringing about the challenge, in there lies the solution.
Yes.
Wow.
So whether it's the finances again that are bringing about a problem, in there again lies the what? The solution.
Yeah.
So you were asking about prayer.
Yes.
And I intended to say, if we know that each temptation has a solution in itself, and that knowledge is coming from God, then which means he is the one who is the solution to the temptation. So then prayer becomes the solver of all things. But I loved the statements that Eunice brought about earlier on, that she spoke about that, but people must be reminded that as they go to pray for this brokenness, there are 3 things that are needed.
Yes.
You mentioned obedience. I think she also mentioned some for forgiveness issues.
Yes.
That if you don't have those things, then you are possibly hitting the roof again on your prayers. So
true.
prayer is very important. But at the same time, obedience is far much more important in the marriages of the people.
Right.
Nyari, I want you to come in here. What are some of the ways you'd recommend our viewers out there deal with the brokenness of their marriages? We've covered a few. Importance of respecting your partner. She's one, he or she is one with you. It's important to pray. What other strategies would be useful to apply in dealing with the brokenness that we have in our marriages?
Okay, I wanted to quote the text from James chapter 1 verse 2 that says, consider it pure joy when you're faced with trials of many kinds,
All right.
because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance.
Wow.
And once perseverance has done its full and complete work, you shall be complete and lacking nothing.
Wow.
So for young couples that are out there, say you're faced with the challenge of communication, just know that communication, consider it as pure joy. Because after it has done its full work, you shall be complete and lacking nothing.
After you have argued.
After you've argued. Like, consider it pure joy. I mean, speaking to the women where you know that I may help meet, where a challenge has come and you know we're having maybe a financial problem with the pastor, I should consider it pure joy, because as a helpmeet it is now my job to help my spouse, and the other way around. So if, say, whatever challenges that we face in our marriages, we first consider them pure joy, because we know that out of those challenges we shall be pure and complete and lacking nothing.
Absolutely. I heard someone saying, God is not speaking to me these days. I'm praying that I hear from God. And I said, what are you doing besides prayer? He says, no, I'm praying. I'm fasting and I'm praying. And I said, and then I sent them a clip or a picture that I saw from someone else. You know, they drew someone praying and said, God, I want to hear from you. And then the other part of the picture, there was a big hand, you know, holding a Bible. And the story, therefore, and this is the story I want to give to you viewers out there. If you're waiting to hear from God, I think you need to start reading your Bible. Because when you read the Bible, take every promise as God speaking to you. And let all your prayers be based on the promises of God. And the promises of God are faithful. When God says, I will be with you, and no temptation will overcome you, it means in the situation you're in, start claiming. And I often say, speak the promises of God to God himself. He will be very happy to know that you've heard from him, and he will gladly answer. Now, I want us to wrap this show, and maybe you have a few more suggestions on how to deal with these challenges.
Before you go there, I just wanted to add on to what Nyari has just said. She has a statement that she usually says. I thought she was going to say it. So I'll say it on her behalf.
You heard her well, so say it.
She usually says, marriage is not an achievement.
Okay, I like that. Just
like attaining a degree. That when most people get married, they say, oh, it's like when I was doing a BA, let's say BA in theology or whatever. When you attain that degree, you sit down. You're no longer reading I can't be reading the notes because I'm not going to write the exam again. I'm putting the books away. I'm now waiting for, masters or something like that, and I read. Once I attain it again, that's an achievement that gives me a certificate. Unfortunately, mankind has treated marriage like an achievement, where every young person is gunning towards the certificate. If you understand what I'm saying. Is gunning towards the certificate, signing it up. And when they have signed it, and it's there in the house, it's done. No more effort that's being put. But be reminded what the Bible says about a marriage setup. That is just like the relationship between the church and Christ. And that relationship is not yet achieved. It's an ongoing process that needs cultivating. You still need to water it. You still need to put some fertilizer. You still need... So, for the marriage to continue to work and for happiness to be able to thrive in the home, you need to know that you haven't achieved it yet. Yes, you might be married, but there's a lot to be done to keep the fire burning. You still need to fuel it up. You still need to fuel it up. When we were courting, I mean, at times I would be away as far as Victoria Falls. But I needed to drive and go and water the flowers up. So they could continue to bloom and things like that. But that still needs to continue and go on. Many people take pension once they have signed the certificate. And then they allow things to run at autopilot. A marriage will not run autopilot. It still needs you to pray. It still needs you to be able to communicate well. It still needs you to apply all possible art in dealing with the outlaws and the in-laws. And it will still need you to sit down and deal with the finances, the both of you, in a proper way. Once you put it on autopilot, then brokenness might last forever.
The sure way to be broken is when you think you've got 500 rands. as a husband, and one guy said, and I saw this was disaster. He says, if you and your wife has got 500,
Yes.
where now you've got 400.
Yeah.
When you put it together, you must know that you have 400. It means her money is her money. But that's disaster. But perhaps on another day we'll do a financial seminar on this one.
Yeah.
So Eunice,
Yeah.
give us your closing remarks
Yeah.
on to our viewers out there. What is it that they should do at the end of the day?
Okay.
Because we're talking about being blessed. How do they get blessed? And
Yes.
maybe let's wrap it up and give us your final thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you. So we have presented 2 solutions here on how to have successful marriages. Pastor has mentioned prayer, and we have mentioned working on your marriage. You don't just go to sleep and know that you have achieved your marriage. You have to work on it daily. I would like to suggest that the third thing that we must do is patience. We must exercise patience with whatever situations that we have in our marriages. Because they say Rome was not built in a day.
Yes.
So if you have a problem that you're working through in your marriage,
Yeah.
don't give up. Have patience. Keep praying. There's power in intercessory prayer
Yes.
for your spouse and for your marriage. If you are the one who is more spiritually stronger in the marriage, pray about it. Involve your spouse. Even if you don't involve your spouse, pray for your marriage and have the patience. And believe me, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you build, when you plant like the farmer, he has to have the patience to wait.
Yes.
Even when things go wrong, the farmer who planted the wheat said, don't pull them out. Leave them to grow together until the day of harvest. For me, what it says, and perhaps someone is sitting out there and they already realize, you know what, I made a mess. I'm not going to change this mess. Jesus says, be patient. Let life be. And, they say time heals all wounds.
Yes.
I don't believe that. Because time only allows you to deal with your wounds. Okay, to know how to live with them. But what really heals is having God on your side. And I'm saying to viewers out there, they can actually have God right now and still be in the midst of a storm. But as long as Jesus is in the vessel, he will wake up and curse the wind. And it shall be quiet at some point. Just hang in there with God. Don't let go of God. Nyari, I want to give you time to give us your final wrapping thoughts. Broken but blessed. What is the take-home message here?
Thank you very much. I think the take-home message to the viewers at home is to understand that there is a great controversy that is being fought out there.
Absolutely.
That from the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve walked with the Sabbath and marriage.
Yes.
And the devil knows that if he can get us to move away from the 2 things that we have and that we are going to carry over into eternity, we're going to lose the eternity. So when we understand that, and when we understand our cause of being here on this world, then we will have the solution to all the problems that we are fighting. Knowing that we've got a home in heaven, that we are waiting for Christ to come and take us home, is going to help us in how we relate with our partners. Where there is a problem, but because I know that there is a heaven that I want to go to, and there's a great controversy that is being fought, we will react better and we will deal maturely and with wisdom to the problems that we face.
Wonderful. I love the point that you mentioned. God did not take away the Sabbath, he gave it to us. To say even if we will toil, we will still need rest. God is good. And also he says you will need companionship. He didn't ask them to divorce. Yet Malachi says he gave Adam one wife. He could have given him more. But he gave him one because he sought a godly seed. And so Mfundis, your closing remarks, take us to the Lord on this one.
We all need to be saved.
Yes.
And like I said as we started, that God set up the family as a tool for the salvation of man. That it was there initially to give glory and honor to God. Unfortunately, the devil has distorted it. But if we want a better country, the SI unit is the family. So for us to have a better South Africa, we need better families.
Yes.
For us to have a better Africa,
Yeah.
we need better families in
Absolutely.
Africa. So it is now up to each and every viewer to sit down and say, is my family bringing about people who will benefit the community,
Yeah.
or it's bringing about a people who are a disturbance and a nuisance to the community in itself? And be not troubled much about that, because we now understand where that is coming from.
Yeah.
It is the devil, according to what she said, that the great controversy, it's unfortunate we don't see it with our plain eyes,
Yeah.
but we are the ones, our families are the playground of this match.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is some blessed hope in that. That although there is this brokenness going on behind our backs, which we may not be aware of,
Yeah.
and at times we are just used as those in the dealing of this matter, the blessed hope is that we know that the controversy was already won in our favor. So our families, if they are surrendered in the hands of Jesus Christ, they have a blessed hope of being the best in
Yeah.
the area that we stay in. And so basically, what I would think in conclusion as a pastor is people need to surrender their lives to Christ
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
put their families in the hands of Christ.
Yeah.
You know, it is possible, Melusi, that some of our viewers started their marriages in some corners without the blessing of the hand of God.
Yeah.
That some of them, it didn't start in the house of prayer. It started in whether it's a club, it's a nightclub, wherever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And there is big danger in that, because the initiator of the marriage is not Christ himself. So the blessing may not be there. It might continue in it being broken.
Yeah.
But it might have started in a broken manner, but attach
Yeah.
and bring Christ into this thing.
Yeah.
And he will bring about the blessing that the marriage must have.
Yes.
Thank you so much all for your contributions. And I think for our viewers out there, your brokenness is a tool that God is using to bring about your blessing. And I would challenge you to read throughout the Bible and show me one person that God ever used that was not broken. I could go into naming them and I would
Yes.
show you how God broke them. But I want to tell you that God is using your brokenness or what is breaking in your life so He can mold you again. Because He's the potter.
Oh, yes.
He can break the pot
Yes.
and build it the way He wants again.
Yes.
And so trust God that He will build you and bless you again. Now, when you read the Bible, Exodus chapter 20,
Yes.
God says, I will bless those who obey me for generations, but also curse
Yes.
those who disobey me unto the third and the fourth generation. I want to challenge you today and say, may brokenness end with you.
Amen.
And I'm challenging you that whatever you've gone through, let it end with you.
Amen.
Maybe you've lived, like the pastor said, a life of sin. You have lived a life of clubbing. You've got established your family not on the foundations of Christ. And you know there's some brokenness somewhere in your marriage. I challenge you today that may it end with you. Because after you, God is seeking a godly seed. Maybe you may not realize the full blessing in your lifetime, but you will see it in your eyes and you will touch it in your spirit. And I know when you give your life to Christ and you surrender to Him, He will definitely build you and make you the person that you're supposed to be. And so friends, this has been our small attempt to share with you that it is possible.
Yes.
I'm sitting here with someone who's been broken, whose marriage was broken for 6 years. And I always believe 6 is the number of men. 666, perfect, triple completeness. God gave you a full 6 years of brokenness. But in the 7th year, God restored her marriage and she's happily married, and I've seen your little daughter.
Yes.
All right, beautiful little daughter. I wish we could bring you on set now so you can see. God can restore. God can still bless you. And to our panelists, they've come all the way to share with us that it is very possible to set your family
Yes.
as a mission station and to serve God and to build again and become perfect and be holy and your marriage undefiled. Friends, this has been MelVee Marriage Seminar, And we pray and hope that the Lord will bless you. Please keep in touch with us. Leave a comment below. And as we always say, you can click subscribe. You will not get hurt. You will be blessed. So please do follow the channel. And we look forward to your partnership as well as we plan future seminars. We have the Symposium of Grace coming in the future. Please do follow the page. We'll be giving you details on that. We've got Preachers Convention. We've got a health seminar coming in. So please stick around with us and may God bless you. This is MelVee from MelVee Video Productions. Bye-bye.